I was 17, home alone for the weekend. My parents had gone out of town for a short getaway, leaving me in charge of the house. I wasn't worried, I'd done it before. The fridge was stocked, the house was locked up, and I had a solid plan. Binge watch Netflix in the dark and eat whatever I wanted. It was a Friday night. Rain tapped softly against the windows, and the occasional rumble of thunder rolled in the distance. The perfect kind of night to relax, right? By 2 a.m., I was several episodes deep into a horror series and half asleep on the couch. That's when I heard it creaking. Slow, deliberate footsteps coming from upstairs. First, I brushed it off. Our house was old, settled all the time. But these weren't random creaks. They were rhythmic, heavy, like someone in boots pacing across the hardwood floor. Step after step after step. I muted the TV. The sound was still there. My heart started to pound. I sat frozen, listening. Then, just as suddenly as they started, the footsteps stopped. I waited. Nothing. Silence. Trying not to panic, I told myself maybe I had imagined it. Maybe a tree branch hit the roof. Maybe it was nothing. But then I heard whispering. Not the TV. Not the wind. Whispering, human whispering, coming from upstairs. Specifically, the guest bathroom, right above the living room. It was soft, incoherent, like someone muttering to themselves. Too low to make out words, but loud enough to know it was real. I grabbed the kitchen knife, not the small kind, but the big chef's knife we kept in the block, and backed into a corner of the living room. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely unlock my phone to dial 911. I told the dispatcher I was alone and someone was upstairs. She stayed on the line with me and told me to stay put until officers arrived. Took less than 10 minutes, but it felt like hours. 2 officers showed up, scanned the perimeter, then went inside with me. They moved cautiously, guns drawn. We cleared the ground floor together, then headed upstairs. My parents' room? Empty. The guest room? Empty. Then we got to the guest bathroom. It looked normal at first, until one of the officers stepped inside and immediately froze. There were wet footprints on the tile. Bare feet, not boots, long, wide prints like from a large man. They started inside the shower and led out across the floor and directly toward my parents' bedroom. But the strangest part? The shower curtain was soaked, still dripping. One officer slowly peeled it back, expecting someone to be hiding behind it. No one was there. They searched every inch of the house, every closet, every crawl space, attic, garage, even outside. Nothing. No signs of forced entry. The windows were all locked from the inside. The front door? Still deadbolt. The back door? Same thing. That's when the cop looked at me, dead serious, and said something I'll never forget. Someone was definitely in here, recently, and they knew how to stay hidden. They couldn't explain it. No alarms tripped. No security cam footage. No neighbors saw anything. After they left, I didn't sleep a second that night. I sat in the living room with every light on, gripping that knife like my life depended on it. To this day, I have no idea who or what was in that bathroom. But sometimes, when I'm home alone late at night, I swear I hear those footsteps again. It was around 1:30 a.m. on a Saturday night. I was home alone, doing what I always did. Grinding out matches on my PC, headset on, lights off, blinds open just a crack to let in the moonlight. My dog, Benny, a golden retriever with zero sense of threat detection, was passed out by my feet. He never barked, never growled, just a tail-wagging, food-loving goofball. So when I suddenly heard a low growl rumble from his throat, it immediately put me on edge. He had lifted his head, ears up, staring straight toward the back door, the one with a large glass pane that looked out onto the yard. At first, I didn't see anything. I got up, thinking maybe it was a raccoon or a cat outside. We got those all the time. But when I turned toward the door, there was a face staring back at me through the glass. Not just any face. It was pale, bone white, expressionless but smiling. And not a normal smile. The kind of smile that didn't reach the eyes. Too wide, too still, like someone had stretched skin over a mannequin and carved a mouth into it. I froze, literally couldn't move. Benny barked and backed away, ears flat. Then the face tilted, just slightly, like it was studying me. I don't know what kicked in. Adrenaline, maybe, but I shouted and lunged forward. As soon as I did, the face snapped out of view, vanishing into the darkness like it had never been there. But that wasn't the end of it. A second later, I heard knocking. Not at the back door, at the kitchen window. Then the living room window. Then my bedroom window. One by one, soft, deliberate knocks traveled around the perimeter of the house. It was like it was testing every single entry point. I turned every light on, locked every door, closed every curtain. My heart was hammering in my chest so hard it made me dizzy. When the police arrived 15 minutes later, I expected them to roll their eyes. Just another paranoid gamer freaking himself out. But they didn't. They found handprints, dozens of them, pressed against every single window. Large, adult-sized, smeared across the glass like someone had been dragging their fingers back and forth. But here's what chilled me the most. They weren't oily, like normal fingerprints. The glass wasn't fogged up. They were dusty, like whoever or whatever had been out there wasn't quite alive. The cops walked the property, found no signs of forced entry, no tracks in the yard. No security cam footage caught anything. They told me it was probably a prank. Some guy in a mask. But I knew better. That smile wasn't human. I didn't sleep that night. I barely slept for weeks. And eventually, I started boarding up the windows from the inside. At first, just the ground floor. Then upstairs too. People thought I was paranoid. Maybe I was. But that face? I never saw it again. Not until the day I moved out. The new owners were a young couple. Super friendly. We made small talk during the final walkthrough. And just before I left, the wife asked casually, "Hey, quick question. Why are all the windows nailed shut?" I didn't have an answer. But if they ever see that smile like I did, maybe they'll understand. It started with a phone call at 3:17 a.m. I remember the exact time because I groggily glanced at the blinking digits on my bedside clock when the landline rang. Yeah, landline, I only kept it because my grandmother insisted I have one in case of emergencies. Funny how that turned out. I picked up, half asleep, thinking it was a wrong number. All I heard was breathing. Slow, ragged, like someone had just run a marathon and was trying to calm themselves down. Then a voice. A voice so hoarse it sounded like it scraped up from someone's ruined throat. Whispered, "I'm in the house." My blood ran cold. I didn't say a word. I didn't move. I just listened as silence filled the line, until it abruptly disconnected with a click. That's when my bedroom door creaked open. No wind, no drafts. It opened slowly, deliberately, like someone had pushed it with the edge of their palm. I didn't wait. I sprinted barefoot out of my apartment and banged on my neighbor's door until they let me in. The police showed up 20 minutes later. Guns drawn. They searched every corner, every closet, under the bed, even the crawl space. Nothing. No signs of forced entry. No one hiding. No fingerprints. Nothing. They told me maybe it was a prank. Maybe I dreamt it. But I know what I heard. I know what I felt. That horrible, crawling sense that I wasn't alone. For a while, things went back to normal. I installed cameras, changed the locks, and even started locking my bedroom door at night. But a week later, the phone rang again. Same time, same number, unknown. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. I put the phone to my ear, and that voice came through again. "You left the door unlocked for me last time. Thank you." I hung up and unplugged the landline that night. I packed my things the next day and moved across town. New apartment, gated building, top floor, no shared walls. But the calls kept coming. They started showing up on my cell phone now. Always at 3:17 a.m. Always unknown. Always that same rasp. "I liked the way your shampoo smelled. You snore when you sleep on your side. You talk in your dreams." It was like he'd been watching me. Still was. I changed my number twice, got a new phone, different provider. It didn't matter. The voice always found me. One night, I turned the phone off completely. Thought maybe I could stop it that way. But at exactly 3:17 a.m., the doorbell rang. Once, then again, then a knock. I didn't open it. I sat there all night, clutching a kitchen knife, staring at the door, waiting for the sun to rise. When it did, no one was there. No footprints, no camera footage, just the memory of that knock echoing in my head. I moved again. Different city, different name, prepaid phone. I don't tell people where I live anymore. I don't even let delivery drivers get too close. But still, some nights I wake up, check the clock. 3:17 a.m. Phone vibrating. Unknown caller. It was a rainy Saturday morning. I was home alone, or at least I thought I was. My mom had left early for her shift at the hospital, and I had the house to myself for the first time in weeks. I decided to take a long, hot shower upstairs and unwind. I was mid-rinse, eyes closed, letting the steam relax my muscles, when I heard it. "Honey, can you come here for a sec?" It was my mom's voice, clear as day, calling from downstairs. I blinked in confusion, wiped the water from my face, and yelled back, "In a minute!" There was a pause. Then the voice repeated, this time a little softer, a little off. "Honey, come down here, please." Something in the tone made my stomach twist. There was something strained in it, like someone pretending to sound warm but not quite getting it right. And that's when my phone, which was sitting on the sink counter, buzzed. I stepped out of the shower, dripping, heart suddenly pounding. It was a text from Mom. "I'm still at work. Who's in the house?" I froze. The blood in my veins turned to ice. I didn't even have time to process it before I heard footsteps on the stairs. Slow, heavy, coming up. I locked the bathroom door and backed away, water still dripping from my hair. The knob jiggled softly at first, then harder. Then came a giggle, a light, high-pitched laugh that tried to sound playful, but didn't quite manage it. "Sweetheart, open the door." It was still trying to sound like her, like it knew her voice, but couldn't copy the warmth, the tone, the subtle inflections. It was like a recording played just slightly off-key. I didn't say anything, didn't move. The knob went still, then came scratching. Light at first, like fingernails against wood, then harder, faster. It sounded desperate, animal. I backed into the corner of the bathroom, shaking, clutching a towel like it could protect me. Then it stopped. Silence. I sat there, barely breathing, for what felt like an eternity. Eventually, I heard the front door slam. I waited another 30 minutes before even thinking about leaving that bathroom. When I finally crept downstairs with a knife from the drawer, everything looked normal, except the back door was wide open, and there were muddy footprints on the tile floor. Barefoot, human-shaped, but long. Wrong. They led from the open door through the kitchen to the basement door. That door was ajar, too, just enough to see the dark void behind it. The footprints went down into the basement, then came back up, but they never led out. The police searched the place, top to bottom, found nothing. They said maybe someone broke in, maybe a prank, maybe I imagined it. But they didn't explain why none of the cameras caught anyone coming or going, or why the footprints started inside the house, not outside. I haven't used that bathroom since, and I always check when my mom texts me from work, because I still sometimes hear her voice call from downstairs. But now I never answer it. Home. It's where we're supposed to feel safest, where we kick off our shoes, lock the doors, and let our guard down. But when you're alone, things start to shift. Every creak of the floorboard feels louder. Every flicker of a shadow seems to linger too long. You tell yourself it's just your imagination, that houses make noises, that windows catch the light, that voices echo. But what if it's not your imagination? What if the footsteps upstairs aren't just the house settling? What if the face in the window isn't a trick of the light? What if the voice calling your name knows you, but isn't someone you've ever met? The truth is, being home alone doesn't always mean you're actually alone. Sometimes things slip through the cracks. Things that mimic, things that wait, things that want in. So next time you're alone at night and you hear a knock, or your dog growls at an empty hallway, or your phone rings with no one on the other end, don't brush it off so quickly. And whatever you do, maybe keep the lights on, just in case, because I know it's not her.